Welcome back to Music Rankings, Reviews, and More. Today we're going to be reviewing and going over and ranking the 10 Pearl Jam albums, and you might be like, what, they have 11? We decided to leave Binaural off this list for two reasons. One is that it's not even on my streaming services, so I can't even use this to reference the album. I have never listened to this album. I'm sure it's decent to good. I hear people talk about it in positive and negative ways. So yeah, it's not going to be on that list for that reason mainly. The rest of the 10 albums will be though.
At number 10, we have Riot Act.
So the reason this comes in at last place is just because, frankly, it's Pearl Jam. They're a great rock band. They do have better in their discography. Also, this album just feels like a very mid-rock album. I'd say most of their rock albums are better than average or really great or amazing, some of the best of all time. But this, just no. It's from the 2000s, in their 2000s period. While good, I'd say they were better in the 90s and also in the 2010s, and their 2020 record was really great as well. I just don't think there's anything that memorable off this album. I don't know if I could memorize any of these songs or tell you. Also, I'm not sure if some of these are extended tracks, so maybe unreleased, but it shows here that there's 15 tracks. That's just really long and outstretched. Some of them are kind of long too, so it's, yeah. It kind of has to come in at last place for that reason.
Number 9, we have Pearl Jam self-titled.
Yeah, so this is from 2006. I'd say this is definitely a healthy, good step up from Riot Act, which I think also might be the album chronologically prior to it too. So it's definitely an improvement if so. Definitely better. Still, again, the only problem with this is there's not a whole lot of memory here. Their 90s stuff is definitely their most memorable stuff for obvious reasons, but this is not very memorable. It's good, but it's not in that great territory yet. We're getting there. We're not there yet, though.
Yeah. I can't really think of any memorable tracks right now.
Yeah. Same. If I do, I would have said it already. I will say track 10 is 53 seconds, which is why is it even on the album? But whatever.
Yeah, normally those are intro tracks.
Well, it says Wasted Reprise, so it's probably just an short instrumental.
Tool has lots of those.
Yeah.
Number 8, we have Lightning Bolt.
Yeah. So we're definitely getting up there now. Last two records aren't as good, especially the last one. Definitely a good step up from some of the stuff they were doing in the 2000s. Yeah, definitely kind of. I mean, it's still not great. It's good. The first track I really like, Getaway. Some of the songs here are a bit outstretched and a little long, but it's still a pretty solid album. I definitely would recommend checking it out. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Alright, number 7, we have Backspacer.
Yeah, so this is their final record of the 2000s decade. This is 2009. Definitely a really great record in comparison to the other two in the 2000s. Yeah, I've listened to some of these tracks in full. I don't really listen to post 2000 Pearl Jam as much, although I do like them. They're definitely not a band in the 2000s where their stuff got super bland. Okay, some of it is a little bland. But there's a lot of other bands that are even more bland than them in the 2000s. Point is that it does have some really great songs that I like Gonna See My Friend, Johnny Guitar, Speed of Sound. So there is some pretty good tracks on here that are great, some that aren't as good. Overall, it's a very strong record. Definitely my favorite release of their 2000s records, for sure.
Based.
Any other thoughts?
Not really. You can't cover everything. Alright, number 6, we have No Code.
So this is the album in between their 94 album Bytology and their 98 album Yield, which I'd say both are better records than this. Not that this is bad, it's still a pretty good album. So this is number 6, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it has some really long and short songs is what I noticed. There's a song that's barely over a minute, but there's a song that's over 6 minutes. So it is an interesting record.
I mean, it is a number 6.
Yeah. Definitely interesting. There is 13 tracks on this, and there's some that are really short and really long, so it does make for an interesting listen.
What are your favorite songs in the album?
Probably Hail, Hail, Smile, Mankind, Around the Bend.
Mankind's probably my favorite from that album.
Nice. Yeah, definitely a really good album, though. Nothing that weak here.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
Not really. Number 5, we have Gigatone.
Alright. Yeah, so this is their last release. It's from 2020. I didn't even know about this release until like way after this album was released, even though this was like not that long ago of an album. Definitely one of their best albums in years. I do really like the album cover to it, really cool.
Yeah.
I'd say it's probably their best record since maybe 98's Yields, which is higher up on this list since we haven't mentioned it, as you might have figured out. It's 12 tracks, some are a little long, some aren't as much. Overall, it doesn't feel as long as it might be in terms of album length. So, it's a pretty consistent record. There's nothing weak here, which is
No, it's a great album. I like it a lot.
Pretty good, yeah.
Any favorites, least favorites?
Not right now. I
think-
can't think of one.
I don't remember all the tracks. I think favorites, I'd say Super Blood, Wolf Moon. I remember liking that one.
Which one?
Super Blood, Wolf Moon.
It's the second track. Nice,
Yeah.
that's a pretty good one. Might be my favorite, not sure, but... So that comes in
Yeah.
at number 5, very solid entry to our top 5 here.
Number 4. This is a very vital album for them. Bytology.
Alright.
Yeah.
So basically this album hits on some of their best songs in my opinion, but also some of their worst songs. For example, we have some of their best songs in my opinion, like Spin the Black Circle, Tremor Christ, obviously the great kind of acoustic, and then obviously picks up pace, Better Man. Satan's Bed is cool. Whipping is a good one, Nothing Man. So it's a lot of great songs.
Song. Bugs. The best Pearl Jam song. It has some beautiful accordion, some beautiful lyrics about a drunk guy trying to join the Bugs and get naked with. Okay, I can't. Bugs fucking sucks.
Yeah, it's just not good. It doesn't sound like any of the stuff that
It's
they've ever
terrible.
done prior or post of
To think that
this
they
album.
actually played that live. Just imagine.
How does this song exist? Why?
Imagine
I
seeing Eddie
don't
Vedder get out the
understand.
accordion and you're like, fucking hell.
Yeah, imagine
You're
all the
just-
drunk grunge fans are like, woo! And then the accordion gets pulled out and they're like,
Oh no.
and they just leave.
No, if anything, if they're drunk, they'd actually cheer for it louder.
Yeah, true.
I don't get why this song exists.
I
no
don't know.
reason for it.
But the rest of
It's
the tracks here are
terrible.
all really
The
strong.
rest of the tracks are
true.
great.
Yeah, this
Just
song
throw in
just
this
sucks.
one
That's the
terrible
reason it's
song.
not in their top 3 is because
Bugs exists.
Bugs is so terrible.
But at the same time, it's so bad, it's funny.
so overall my thoughts is that it's a really great record aside from one crappy dog shit song.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
So
It's kind of like Pearl Jam's Pink Cell Phone.
pretty much, yeah.
Number 3, we have Yield.
Right. So, Yield is definitely more consistent. There isn't as much good top songs on this, but it's definitely way more consistent, which is why it barely gets over Bytology for us here. So, any standout tracks to you?
Not off the top of my head,
I
no.
don't know.
I mean, I'd say I like Faithful, Given to Fly,
Given to
Do
Fly.
the
Given the Fly is pretty
Evolution,
good, yeah.
In Hiding, all those Yesterdays. Bunch of really good songs. The worst songs on here are good to decent. The best are really great.
Yeah.
So, definitely a different style than their first 3 records. Obviously, their first 2 are their main grunge records. The rest of their albums really aren't that grungy, but they're still good records, which is why we like them. But, so yeah, definitely deserving of our number 3 spot, I'd say.
Yeah, at number
Great
2,
album.
we have Versus.
Definitely their hardest sounding record and grungiest record, aside from 2 songs. But other than that, all this stuff is hard. Like, it almost sounds like metal at times. Really, just gritty stuff. I mean, let's go through some of the tracks. Go, the first track, amazing. Animal is a great track. Daughter is slower, but still very
One
good.
of my favorites.
Glorify G's great. WMA's really good. Rearview Mirror, which actually inspired an album title. Great song. Elderly Woman Behind the Counter is really good. Leash is really good. Indifference. Really, all the songs on here are pretty great.
Yeah.
It's not as good as our number 1 spot because that's pretty obvious on what that's going to be, but this is really strong. For a second album, it's not a ton of a slump. It still holds up pretty well. It is a slump for obvious reasons, but, you know, you can't really criticize a great album like this too much.
No, it's very good. Elderly Woman's probably my favorite.
Any favorites? What's favorites?
Elderly
No.
Woman and Daughter. I'm pretty basic.
Yeah. Those are my favorites just because they're different. The rest of that album,
Yeah.
it can blend in a little, but not too much. But
Not too
again,
much.
those songs definitely stand out.
Alright. Number 1, I think we all know it. I think you guys knew what it was.
Their iconic debut masterpiece.
10.
I don't even know how you make an album this damn good right off the bat. Only other bands I can think of doing that is maybe like GNR, Van Halen, where they like
Boston,
peaked
Linkin
on the
Park,
Boston.
stuff like that.
But such a great album. You got the opening track
Yeah.
Once, which is such a gritty
Such
song.
an energetic song.
Definitely a
True.
song that could
Good
have been on
song.
Versus too. In my
Number
opinion.
and then after that, Even Flow,
Which
iconic
great
song.
riff.
I love that
great
song to
song.
death.
3 Alive,
Alive,
one of
my
my
favorite
probably my
program
favorite
song.
guitar solo of the '90s. Mike McCready's underrated. I don't care what anyone says.
4 Why Go, very
Really good.
gritty, aggressive song, but it's amazing.
Black. If there's a
My-
grunge power ballad that's amazing, that's it.
If there's a good power ballad, it's that.
well, there are other good ones.
Yeah, I
but
know.
for the grunge genre, grunge didn't have a ton of ballads, if that's what you want to call them. But this is one that was great, and it definitely was one of their most big hits, and we can see why. Definitely really great.
Jeremy, one of my favorites.
True. Very great song as well. And then the second half of this album, while is great, still I wouldn't say it matches up with the first half. Although
I do
The
like
fir-
Oceans a lot.
Ocean's really good, Porch is pretty good,
Yeah.
Garden's great.
I'm not a big fan of Release, but I like the
Release is just kind of long. It says it's
True.
over 9
That
minutes.
was kinda
Like
boring, honestly.
Release
It is.
is definitely the worst song on the album in my opinion, but
It's still good.
It's still
You
good.
need it to complete the album. That's the
Yeah.
thing.
it's a great send off of an album. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I prefer the first half of the album to the second.
First half, definitely.
Yeah, the first half is
Yeah,
just like
it's just
barely
long.
any albums can match with the first half. Once, Even Flow, Alive, Why Go, Black, Jeremy. I mean, most
Right.
albums can't match that.
yeah.
So-
Yeah, true.
Yeah. For that reason, this has to be our number one spot. Iconic album cover, iconic songs. Everything about this is iconic, captured a time. Yeah, you may see this album in some format in a time capsule eventually of the 90s, who knows. Yeah, so that's our Pearl Jam album rankings. I'd say that's fairly accurate on what most
Yeah.
people agree with that are big fans of the band. We remember our ranking is based on 3 things: personal opinions, popularity and influence, and then also what hardcore fans think. Because personally, I value hardcore fans' opinions over like casual fans, because casual fans always just like the hits, whatever's popular.
True.
So,
Yeah.
although with Pearl Jam, their popular stuff may be some of their best work. It's super creative, great work.
Right. I
Um,
mean,
True.
Most
But yeah,
of-
overall,
defense are
lots
really
of
great.
jams.
yeah.
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 Yep. So that's our Pearl Jam album rankings. If you disagree, feel free to cry about it.
Yeah, by the way, if you disagree, just like leave your ranking in the comments, or you can
Yeah,
be
just
super
leave
mad
your
at
own
us
ranking.
too. And tell us how
But
wrong
don't
we
rage
are,
about it, because most people would have.
and tell us how
somewhat
our
similar to
opinion
this.
is wrong, and your opinion's better, and all
Yeah,
that.
go spend your time typing why you disagree in the comments instead of
Yeah.
touching graphs outside, getting
Exactly.
talking to your friends. Just do that.
Yeah. Or if
But
you
yeah.
agree, feel free to comment too.
Anyways, thank you for watching. Yeah, that'll be it until our next video. Thank you.